We must have been sitting in the eye of the storm, because the last few days have been quite the whirlwind. Hey guys, this is Jules with True Crime Reactions. I am recording this pretty late on Wednesday evening, so this will probably not post until Thursday evening. It has been quite a stressful day. My mental health has taken quite the toll. But I wanted to get this done and out there because I've been thinking about this for a while, at least since this morning, since I saw it, and I feel like it's really important. And I know what you guys want to talk about. Y'all want to talk about the naked man. And yes, we will most likely get to that by the end of this video. But first, you guys know how we have this private investigator that we have now read this affidavit for that is now stating that Bethany Funk has exculpatory evidence that could help in this case to technically prove that Bryan Kohberger did not do the crime. I saw this on Twitter this morning, and it's from a company called Integrity Investigations. Now, this is a post from back on February 7th of 2017, and it reads, "Client not guilty of first-degree murder. So here's the deal. Prosecutor did the best she could with a flawed, biased investigation. Tunnel vision led the cops to focus on our client to the exclusion of all others, overlooking critical evidence. 2.5 years later, the jury saw that our investigation pulled the curtain back on some pretty shabby police work, frankly. In the hands of a lesser attorney, it might not have made a difference, but Ann Taylor did a superb job defending Heather Crawford. Shout out to my friend and partner, Richard Butonti, a true professional who did a yeoman's, I don't know that word, guys, job, and to our associate, Caleb Trinkle, an audio-visual tech wizard. Now, I didn't know who in the heck this Heather Crawford girl was, but y'all, when y'all hear the details of how this woman ended up being found innocent, you're gonna understand why these two, why Ann and Richard working together on this case could possibly be related to this whole Brady GIGLIO situation. So I went and did some digging, and I found this article by the Coeur d'Alene Press website. Let me just read you a couple of select paragraphs. Crawford is charged with first-degree murder in the August 2014 death of 22-month-old Ezra Wilson, the daughter of Crawford's former live-in ex-boyfriend, Hiram Wilson. The 28-year-old woman allegedly suffocated the child in the couple's Kingston home. Crawford claims she woke up to a cold breeze the evening Ezra died, then realized the child wasn't in her playpen. When she walked into the bathroom, she claims to have seen the words, "M-word scumbag daughter," written on the mirror before waking Hiram Wilson and finding the tucked-in child in a small bed unresponsive. Wow. So then it goes down a little further and says, as the investigation continued and law enforcement went down numerous trails, all of those trails led back to the defendant. Ezra Wilson was a happy, healthy child when she went to bed that night. She wasn't sick, no sign of natural causes, consistent with suffocation, consistent with smothering. Now it gets interesting down here. Defense lawyer Taylor said she couldn't understand why Hiram Wilson was never thoroughly looked at as a possible suspect, considering a past that includes 2 counts of accessory to murder in the 2008 Dobson Pass double homicide. Wilson, now this is the father of the child whose life was lost. Wilson, the son of former Pinehurst Police Chief Rocky Wilson, was sentenced to just 2 years in prison after testifying against a co-defendant. Interestingly, former Idaho State Police Detective Charlie Greer, Hiram Wilson's godfather, was a detective in both the Dobson Pass and Crawford cases. Taylor again brought up how acquaintance Travis Quimby, who sent a Facebook message to Crawford noting Haram's daughter deserved the same fate as the Dobson Pass victims, wasn't thoroughly questioned. Something else that is very much like what is going on in the Idaho 4 case, listen to this. I found this on ShoshoneNewsPress.com's website. Listen. Taylor also made mention of 2 other people being in the house that night. The first, a female who was there at the time that the first responders arrived following the 911 call. The second, a man who was in the home earlier that night but was unknown to the older children in the house. Wow, what do we see right there? Police connections, possibly the fact that evidence that could have led to the right person going to jail was completely overlooked and not placed into the report, and things that the prosecution was looking at was everything they could to actually get that conviction, and there was a lot more details that were left out. And Taylor brought in Richard, her PI, for this case. And there has to be something similar in the Idaho case to where she deems his services necessary again. Now, naked man, look. What they're trying to state doesn't make any sense. And I can promise you now that there's no way that some news guy over across the ocean got some sort of redacted documents, okay? There's only one way they could have gotten that information and it be valid, and I'm still not going to put any credence on this. Remember in my community post, I showed that there was like 3 redacted pages. If you look at the pages, you can kind of see the black where the words were. If there's some sort of program that can be used to run it through that to get it sharper and get the wording, then it's very possible it could say that in those redacted pages. But I want to think logically here, okay? Whenever you take into consideration where Bethany's bedroom is versus where that sliding back door is, there's no way she could have seen that and been in her bedroom. And if she was not in her bedroom, then she would have had to have been on the 2nd or 3rd floors at the time of the incident in order to have seen someone running out of the back sliding glass door. And that still would not account for a lot of things. We have Dylan stating that she saw this man dressed in all black, including a black mask over his face. Well, then how can we then in turn try to believe that Bethany then saw a naked man running out of the house? Where's the clothes? Apparently, they hadn't found any of the suspect's clothes at the scene because they would have had DNA all over them, and this would have been over with really fast. Now, while being completely covered in black and then stripping down and running out the house naked would in fact be a pretty reasonable way to believe that DNA would not be left on the way out the house to have left a trail, where's the clothes? Somebody in that home would have had to have taken them, washed them, gotten rid of them, washed them, dried them, folded them up, and put them in a closet like they belonged there. There's just more questions that can be created with that scenario. And none of them are good. None of them are good. And if she really did see this and heard things and blah, 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 then like I mentioned before, she, Bethany, is just as guilty as doing some bullshittery as Dylan is, because there is still an 8-hour gap in between both of them hearing and seeing and not calling 911 until almost noon. So I don't understand, again, how they can sit here and tell us in one sentence that she woke up to find them, which again, that was just in a Daily Mail article. We actually do not have verification if Bethany was the one who found the bodies. I just see it like this. And again, with this scenario, there still leaves more questions. Say yes, Bethany woke up, walked up to the second floor, saw everything. Now let's turn that with these rumors of an unconscious person out on the front yard after running out of the house and freaking out. What if some of that could have been the truth? What if she woke up, went up to the second floor, saw what happened to Ethan and Xana, and ran out of the house in a panic and fainted, and some neighbor called 911? Okay, I can see that. But no, we can't even actually say that that's a possibility here, because the police told us that the friends summoned people over. Both of them saw what was going on and called other people over to the house before calling the cops. And now they were both also eyewitnesses to something at the time the murders took place. It's not looking good for them either, guys. It's making it look more and more like they both are involved in some sort of cleanup cover-up for some reason that we can't figure out. Because how do you explain two people hearing, seeing, and not calling 911? How?